We all know our gadget guy, Mike Yawney, loves a great video game, but today he's going unplugged at the world's largest game store. Mike, do you have a favorite board game?
Do I have a favorite board game? You know what? I like the classics. I like Scrabble, and I like Monopoly. Those are probably my favorite board games.
Absolutely. I challenge you, my friend, to a game of Scrabble. I love Scrabble.
Ah, you're on. You're on. And Jill, you know what? If you like games like you do and I do, this place is Mecca. This is paradise. This is the world's largest game store, and it's right in our city. It's kind of one of those gems that maybe you haven't heard about, the Sentry Box. And it's a little bit deceiving. You walk inside, and it doesn't look that big. But take a look at this. It opens to the downstairs, and follow me down here, because I've got somebody to introduce you down here. Hiding amongst the 13,000 square feet, we find Gord Johansson. He's the guy who started this way back when. Gord, how long has the Sentry Box been around for now?
Since 1980 is when I did it. It was about 450 square feet back then.
And it's grown slightly since then.
Yeah, this is the fourth location, so I think we went from the 450 to 1,500 to 2,800, and then we jumped to this 13,000.
So at 450 square feet, what did you first start selling?
There was basically some role-playing games, some war games, and a few miniatures. That was all that was there at the time. You know, the little tiny 1-inch tall guys that people would use for gaming and role-playing stuff.
Now 13,000 square feet of, I mean, there's everything in here.
Everything except normal games, pretty well. Yeah, there's the role-playing stuff like Dungeons & Dragons. There's the collectible card games like Magic or Pokemon. The miniatures, both historical, science fiction, and fantasy.
But you do have board games here as well.
Oh yeah, the European-style board games are huge now. They have just in the last 3 years kind of taken off even more. I think there's probably, I don't know, a couple thousand. I lose track. I can't keep track anymore.
So how did you get into this?
I used to be a power engineer working at boiler rooms and things, and I just liked games. So I decided to start wholesaling, and then I got into the store end of things as well, because I wanted cheap games myself and quite enjoyed it. That's how we
follow the dream.
Yeah,
you have to enjoy what you do, right?
If I didn't like it, I mean, that's what, 1980, so 34 years, yeah, and it's actually more fun now in a lot of ways. I'm not sure if I like the gray hair as much, but...
And you have a rabid fan base. I mean, you have regular customers that keep coming back.
Yeah, probably about 90% of our clientele, maybe a little less now, is repeat business. Yeah, they're very, very dedicated. I've had customers chase down shoplifters outside and yank them off buses, and because they get ticked off sometimes.
Amazing. Well, Gord was actually telling me, Jill, that talking about this rabid fan base, this customer base, they actually had a wedding here a couple years ago. So a couple got married up there because they love the store so much. They've had a movie shot here. So the Sentry Box, it's definitely has, you know, a name for itself here.
And time to check in with our Mike Yawney, our gadget guy who's on location this morning, talking about board games, the hottest board games. Are you into the zombie thing, Mike? Is that your thing?
I like zombies, but you know what? I had no idea that there are as many zombie board games as there are. I mean, take a look at this. This is quite the setup. There's figurines you can paint. It's crazy. But Jill, 50. Okay, I got the exact tally for you, Jill. How many board games there are here?
All right.
Get this: 5,600 board games.
5,600.
Yeah.
And how many do you think you can get through playing this morning?
Probably one. We are going to give you some demos of some of the big games. But the person to talk to here would be Greg. Come over here because Greg is knee-deep in board games here. You're basically the board game expert here at the Sentry Box.
I guess
so. You know, it's overwhelming. When you walk in here, I see all these titles like Octopus's Garden. You know, I've never heard of any of these before.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really overwhelming when people come in and they don't know anything about any of these games. So, you know, they come talk to me or one of the other staff. We can find out a little bit about what their interests are and point them in the right direction. So, you know,
because they're not all just adult games. These are very kid-friendly games, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Number one seller, though, what would that be?
That would be the Settlers of Catan. Some people may have heard of it. It's kind of got a bit of traction in the mainstream now. Essentially, the idea of this one is you are settling an island and you're gathering resources and expanding your little settlements out onto the island, trading with the other players, and trying to score points by building cities and that kind of thing.
So I know this kind of became popular a couple years ago, but it's been around for way more than that.
Yeah, almost 20 years now. It came out in '95 in Germany. A lot of these games are designed in Europe, and yeah, it's kind of gained a bit of a cult following now. And it's definitely our #1 seller.
Now let's take a walk through, because I saw one over on the other side there that I knew from the iPad. I didn't even realize this was a board game, but Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, so Ticket to Ride, they did an iPad app. It was based on the board game. There's a few different versions of it now. It's got a ton of expansions, as you can see right here. The idea of this one is you have a map. It's different in each one. The original one is North America. There's a Europe version. There's Germany. The expansions show all kind of places. And you're basically connecting different cities on the map
with the railroad.
With a railroad, yeah, and scoring points for it.
Now I want to quickly get to this one over here, because we have some customers. Are these employees or customers this morning? A little bit of mix?
All customers.
All
actually.
customers, awesome.
Yeah.
La Boca. This is really interesting. I've never seen anything like this. How is this working here?
So what happens with this one is every round, 2 people are playing, and it's a competitive game, but when you play, you are working with the other person to try and place all the blocks into the pattern that is on the card.
So I'm going to interrupt here and turn this quickly here. So you were building, what that looks like from your perspective. And on the other side, you're building what looks like on your perspective. But they're working together.
Yes.
Very cool.
We got 20 seconds.
Look at that. So that's only 3 games out of the 5,600 games, Jill. And I want to point you over this direction, because back here, there actually is, they have demo games. So if you come here and you find a game at the Sentry Box that you like, but you don't really know if you're going to like it, you can actually rent the game, take it home and try it, and then decide, hey, do I want to buy it, or do I want to try to find something else? Really cool stuff here.
Yeah, great idea. Thanks very much, Mike.
All right, we're going to check in with our Gadget Guy, Mike Yawney, learning about some cool games that you and your family may want to try. Now, Mike, you talked about it a few minutes ago. I don't know if you're talking about it again, but the game Ticket to Ride, I played that for the first time over the holidays this year.
Yeah, it's really catching on. I played that on the iPad maybe about 6 months ago. Didn't even know it was a board game, and sure enough, it's here and it's been out for a few years. One of those games that you maybe not have heard about. But one thing, you know, when I was younger, I traded hockey cards and baseball cards. I didn't really get into the trading card game, but trading card games are huge. It's a giant community in the city. Evan, you are the trading card expert at the Sentry Box.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this is big. I didn't realize there's such a community in the city.
No, it is really big. It's kind of very accessible, and like more so than it has been, right? So it's really grown in the last few years. It's a very casual thing. It's very competitive if you want it to be. You can win lots of money playing it at the professional level. Like, it's really cool.
So I was kind of looking through the shelves, because there's thousands of cards here, and I was surprised Pokemon is still a thing.
Yeah, it's still going strong, right? Like, the younger crowd has filtered out, grown older, moved on to other games, or stayed with Pokemon, right? A lot of the kids are still getting into Pokemon. It's pretty cool to see that, right? Like, even now, like 20 years or 15 years ago, right?
But Magic is probably still, Magic the Gathering is still the big...
It is the king. It is the big one. It's been going since the early 90s. There's lots of players that grew up on it or got through school or whatever, and they're still playing it. Like I said, some people are at the professional level. There's like Magic celebrities, as it were, right? And they're making lots of money and lots of fame playing Magic.
Now, new sets continue to come out, and some of them get fairly rare over time, and some can be worth a lot of money. These 2 cards here, I was kind of teasing before the break, they're expensive. I'm going to turn these around so people at home can see the price on these cards. Look at that, $450 and $700.
Yeah.
Why are they so expensive?
Well, it's a combination of kind of their age, right? Like, as card games kind of grow older, the cards that are printed earlier get more and more valuable. Also, they're very powerful, so they're used in some of the best decks, right? If you want to play with the older cards, right, they're kind of staples. You need a lot of them to play those games.
And now this deck here is worth about how much?
It's about $3,000-ish right there.
Wow. Quite the community. You guys actually get lineups when the new sets come out.
Yeah, definitely. We have a pre-release event about a week before. You can actually come in and grab the cards, and that's kind of a card store thing. A lot of card stores do that. Ours are really cool, right? We get like 150, 170 people on all 3 days of the weekend. It goes from like midnight all through the morning, right?
Wow.
It's a pretty big thing.
Amazing. Now, Ted, Jill, I want to bring the camera around so you can see something else here. I guess, you know, as the cards, you know, the years go on, the sets continue to grow. It's harder to find some of those rare cards. Take a look at this. All these binders at the back, if you're looking for one specific card from Magic the Gathering, look at this. All you have to do is come in here and pull out one of these binders, and you can go through the sets. Look at this.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Could be
heavy stuff.
yours.
It could be
I
yours.
wonder how much the whole set costs.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's a whole other world out there.
It is.
Yeah.
I like that game, Ticket to Ride, though, I was talking about. We had
Really?
fun over the holidays, yeah. Good stuff. We're going to check in with Mike Yawney right now, hanging out with some gamers this morning. And what have you discovered now, Michael?
Well, the world of miniatures. I always thought when it came to things like this, it's just a hobby that people buy the little collectibles and they paint them, but there is a reason. It really is part of a big game, and I want to bring in Chris here. Chris knows a lot about miniatures here at the Sentry Box. Now, this is sort of like a board game.
Yep. You can see it's a little bit different. There's no squares for your pieces to move to. It's usually a little bit more freeform. You can use a tape measure to move your different figures around any direction you want. So it's a little bit more open. You can do different tactics.
Now,
Sort of thing.
typically the game boards are much bigger. This is just kind of a sample, but they're significantly bigger than this.
Yeah. Most games usually use like a 4x4 or 4x6 table.
Wow.
So yeah, you build up your own collection of miniature scenery, buildings, houses, trees, that sort of thing.
I mean, it's endless possibilities because you can keep buying figures. And I want to show you some of the artistic qualities because these are all hand painted and somebody actually went through and painted these. This takes a long time.
Yeah, it can take a while. There's a few products and techniques that can make that a little bit quicker, which helps when you're trying to build up a great big collection.
Now these guys over here are playing games with miniatures. Looks like a little bit of Star Wars here. This looks like a war game. Now they're using tape measures and laser pointers. What are the laser pointers for?
Well, it matters what each figure can see on the tabletop. So it's
like line of sight.
Yeah, exactly.
Very interesting. Now, Sue, I want to introduce you to everyone because you are a painter. You put a lot of work into these miniatures. How long? So what are you working on here right now?
This is a dragon for the Forgotten Realms board game. Something like this is the nice thing about these board games is the miniatures are a little bit more easy to paint. They're a little less detailed. You need fewer colors and more tricks. You can get them done quicker.
I would not even know where to start with that. How long would it take to probably paint this dragon here?
This dragon, because it's a simpler model, it will probably only take me about an hour.
Wow, that would take me 10 hours. And this guy here, I don't think you painted that, but if you had to guess how long that would take.
That's a little more complex than my little dragon. That would probably take maybe 8 hours if I had to guess.
Wow, that's incredible. Maybe 6. I wouldn't even know where to begin with this. This actually looks like what I'm like without coffee in the morning. Something I resemble something like that.
That's
and
what
apparently,
you look
if you exactly now, apparently, if you can't, if you're not good at painting like me, you can come in here and you can buy or custom order miniatures painted, or you can get them on eBay. Apparently, somebody does this for a living in Calgary and makes their entire living selling these things on eBay. It's an incredible talent, guys.
Wow.
It's obviously a market for it.
Yeah.
It's very involved.
There you go, Mike Yawney. Now you know what he looks like before his first cup of coffee.
Yes, we've witnessed it. Mike Yawney on a good track this morning, hanging out with some gamers. What do you have next, Mike?
Well, Jill, I know you're a huge Dungeons & Dragons player. I know you've been playing for years. But there are other games out there now kind of surpassing Dungeons & Dragons. And Don, I want to call you in here because D&D, as it's known through gamers, it's been around for a long time. Why is it so popular still to this day? It's classic.
It is classic. It is the thing that has been around the longest.
Yeah.
It is what started essentially the entire genre of this type of gameplay. It's a thing that everybody can get right into your head, or it comes right out of your head, rather.
It's all about imagination, right? Whatever you can create.
Any story that you want to create on a tabletop with your friends, you can create with a role-playing game. And Dungeons & Dragons is the #1 way of doing that.
Right. Now, another title that's kind of been picking up, because of course there's more games out there than Dungeons & Dragons. This guy over here, I'm going to bring Nick back here. This is Pathfinder, and this is almost surpassing D&D this year.
It's coming close. The two of them have kind of a similar market share. We sell about equal amounts of Pathfinder and Dungeons & Dragons. Pathfinder is actually based on an earlier version of Dungeons & Dragons, which I think is what makes it more accessible to people.
So a lot of similarities there. And for those who maybe don't know how role-playing games are played, it's pen and paper, dice, a lot of imagination. Dice, there's a huge market in dice. I mean, people like to get them customized, and they're very protective over them.
They are. A gamer's dice is a very personal choice of color and style. We have many, many colors and styles of dice. They have different
looks in it.
Different looks.
I'm assuming
different
some
colors,
people
different
also
styles.
have maybe numerous sets because it's almost like it's fashionable, right?
Oh yeah, we actually sell a 1 pound of dice bag. Poundo dice is what it's called.
Poundo dice. Awesome. Well, I
it's
think
pretty amazing.
this would be appropriate for Ted. I think this would be appropriate. I think Jill would like this one because she is a diehard Dungeons and Dragons fan. But you guys, I wanted to show Jill, I think you would like this.
Okay.
A lot of people, you know, the dice are classic, but look at this ring. This is replacing dice for some people. You actually just spin it. It's a dice ring.
Sweet.
Cool, hey? See, I think you'd like that.
I love me a good accessory, especially when
I'll bring that back for
Well,
you.
you could wear it out too, right? Like you could wear it out, and then all of a sudden, hold on, I have to, and you get up number
Gotta
4.
spin the
or
dice.
something.